Well, there are new questions tonight about the way Kevin Rudd handled vital meetings on national security. The ABC has learned the former Prime Minister used his 31-year-old Chief of Staff, Alistair Jordan, to deputise for him at several meetings of Cabinet's National Security Committee. The revelation emerged as Mr Rudd confirmed he'd been invited to sit on a United Nations Development Panel. Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott suspended their campaigns today to attend the funeral of Private Nathan Bewes, an Australian soldier who was killed in Afghanistan. Political reporter Nick Harmson.
A rare ceasefire brought by unmistakable tragedy. The funeral for the 17th casualty from the military campaign in Afghanistan prompted a suspension of the political campaign back home. The two leaders even shared a few private words.
Excuse me, mate.
While across the border, an ousted leader made a very public scene of saying very little.
There's a statement from my spokesman, and I draw your attention to it. I have no further comment to make on it, and beyond that, I've got many things to do in the electorate this afternoon. I've got work to do.
The statement confirms Kevin Rudd has been approached by the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon to serve on a panel made up of a significant number of former and current heads of government, foreign ministers and ministers from developing and developed countries.
Kevin Rudd clearly expects to be the foreign minister in a Gillard government, yet he doesn't trust her to keep her word, so he's looking for a job overseas.
He is, of course, as we all know, very well regarded internationally. So it's no surprise that others may be giving consideration to what role, if any, he can play overseas.
Except the former Prime Minister has made it very clear he won't be giving up his day job. He says the panel would meet 3 times a year and would not cause any impediment to him discharging his responsibilities as a local Member of Parliament or as a minister in a future Labor government.
Julia Gillard must disclose to the Australian people whether Kevin Rudd can sit in her cabinet and be working for the United Nations at the same time. We do not want part-time ministers.
Tonight, there are revelations that Kevin Rudd took a part-time attitude into one of his key roles as Prime Minister. The National Security Committee of Cabinet is responsible for the big decisions on defence and foreign policy.
It's therefore the body that tends to handle the gravest, the most serious, in some ways the most important decisions that governments make.
The ABC has learned that several times the former Prime Minister allowed his 31-year-old Chief of Staff, Alistair Jordan, to deputise for him at meetings of the committee when Mr Rudd was late or didn't attend at all. On those occasions, the meetings often started because Mr Rudd had kept departmental heads waiting for more than an hour. A former Defence Chief who served on the National Security Committee during the Howard years says if this was the case, then senior ministers should have pulled the Prime Minister into line.
These are all pretty important things, and if it wasn't running right, I'd expect those ministers to say something about it.
They're issues Julia Gillard will have to deal with tomorrow when she campaigns in Kevin Rudd's home state and tries to get Labor's climate change agenda back on track. The Prime Minister will announce plans to set up a committee of scientists and a larger group of citizens to help build consensus on Australia's role in reducing emissions. Tony Abbott is heading west, where the Liberal Party's stocks are highest, thanks in part to the mining tax. Smaller miners are still unhappy with the tax and are threatening to resume advertising. One who's not short of $1 is ready to chip in.
For the first time, Fortescue will be prepared to invest in it. We've stayed right out of it up to this point.
This is one truce that may not last. Nick Harmson, Lateline.